Hello everybody! Today we're going to see how I draw Kamen Rider Super 1. Just so you know, there's a coloring book that you can get through Amazon. Just follow the link in my description and you can get a coloring book to show me how you color to how I draw. Okay, pencils first and then Sharpies. So if you don't want to watch the pencil portion of the video where I sketch the entire thing out, look in the description and you'll find a link that you can click on that will take you to the Sharpie portion of the video. For those of you, I'll even include one for color, but for those of you that want to stick around, I'm going to start off with a quick sketch for myself and get us going. I just need to start drawing because I can't speak, right? Stop talking and get to drawing, old man. Let's get going. Alright, so I kind of wanted to talk about perspective and proportion. Proportion is basically what I was trying to say. A lot of times, I'll just talk about this while I'm sketching it out. A lot of times, we want to draw the superhero pose. We want to draw what we're used to seeing, what we like, and I get it. I do the same. I'm pointing to myself, like you can say. I do the same thing too. But I want to break you of that habit, and I want you to start thinking about creating your own thing and making it look correct. Because a lot of times, here's the problem. A lot of times, it looks correct when you are looking at it as a human being in that look, or just looking at it, right? But when you draw something, it doesn't. Your eye doesn't connect. Your eye doesn't make it look right. So, I'm just trying to break you of drawing, and what I'm trying to say is, I don't have anything extra here to draw on. Here, yeah, I do. Hang on. When you're, well, you know what, I'll talk about this in the sketch. I'll talk about this during the inking part. But basically, when you're drawing something, you got to think of how it's going to look in the end versus what you're trying to show. Because if I wanted to draw a hand pointed right at you, a finger pointed at you like that, this looks right. You know what it is. But when I draw that, it's going to look like that finger is missing, you know? It's just a big round ball on the end of my hand. You know what I mean? So, even though that looks right, it's not going to look right in the drawing. So, you can do it. You can sit there and perfect and get it looking exactly right. But, you can save yourself a big headache by repositioning. And that's really where I'm going with this entire thing, is repositioning and redesigning. And you can make something look exactly how you want it to look, you know? So, like I said, I'm trying to break you the habit of drawing. I hate to say it like this. Don't draw what's real. You know. You should. You absolutely should. But because it's not always going to work, sometimes you just got to draw what works. Okay. So, for example, like what I'm doing here, I'm going to draw him holding a fist up like he's about to punch you. That kind of look. That's what we're going for. But I've positioned it out a little bit so it's you know what? No, I'm doing it. I'm doing exactly what I told you not to do. Hang on. Let me just push it out a little bit. So I'm going to do the hand, the arm, and the wrist, and then like that. So I just did exactly what I was telling you not to do. And sometimes you gotta mess up so you can get it right. And there you go. So that way I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna do it exactly like what I was saying. I'm gonna position it out just a little bit so it's a little different, and I'm also gonna raise it up a little bit to emphasize the bend in the arm. So this is the perfect example of how you can fix something without making it, you know, straight at you. Okay, that'll work. Let me just reposition some of this real fast. Okay, now I can add some details because I've got the placement where I want it. That's so funny. That's so funny. I was just telling you not to do something as I was doing it. But it helped because it helped me also point out the point I was trying to make. That, you know, repositioning, rechanging, and just moving it around, it got me where I wanted, and I am now in a better place to show you something better. So let's talk about Kamen Rider, because now we're coming close to the end of the characters, and I talked about this before, that I'm going to run out because I'm moving backwards. I'm moving all the way to the beginning Kamen Rider, the very first one, and I'm almost there. I'm getting close. So there's only so much more I have left to do, and then I don't know what I'm going to do after, or I'm going to try a different series is what I'm going to do. Yeah, so much for that talk. Well, now what do we talk about? Okay, let me add some detail to the face here, and then we'll just get going. No need to hear me talk all day long, if anybody's even listening to this. I'm a small enough channel that, you know, people skip around and watch 2 or 3 minutes of whatever part they want, and that's fine with me. I'm okay with that. But that also means I just get to talk about whatever I want because no one's really listening to this part. Okay, that looks good. I need to get a close-up of the face is what I need. But the nice thing is these are pretty much like motorcycle helmets at this point. Back when they first started, he was, you know, the motorcycle rider, the masked rider. It was I don't know, I'm just guessing, but it pretty much looked like it was all motorcycle helmets, you know, so there wasn't too much crazy design, just motorcycle design. Okay, I think I'm ready. And I can switch over to Sharpie. I just got to erase some of these sketch lines. Some of the sketch lines worked out, so I don't have to go too hard with this eraser. But I do want to make some of this disappear because I want the Sharpie to stand out, not the pencil lines. And if you're working with pencil, you just keep going. You don't have to erase like I am. Like I said, I want my Sharpie to stand out. Okay, I think I'm about ready. Yeah, let's welcome everybody that skipped and get going. Welcome, skippers. Welcome to the Sharpie portion of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I do a different drawing every day. You can join along and have some fun. I'm going to be working with the Sharpie fine point and a Sharpie pen, mostly the fine point, but it depends a little finer than the fine point. You can find things that the fine point can't quite find. I've sketched the entire thing out. I've erased a majority of it, but left myself enough of a detail that I can be guided on this Sharpie adventure. Let me find a good picture of his face before I get started to make sure I get... Yeah, there we go. There's a good one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start off with the Sharpie pen. Mostly, the Sharpie fine point. Most of the time I start with the pen for the facial details, but a lot of them here are pretty much just, well, let's do this. Let's do this. There's not face detail. It's a mask, you know? So I'm going to use the Sharpie pen for the mask for the fine details. The fine little details. The pequeño details. The small details. All right. So for the eyes, it's kind of like a tapered wave. Not wave, droplet, I guess. So I'm going to do something like this. Right, there's going to be the nose. I'll thicken it up just a little bit because I want to match what's going to happen with the Sharpie fine point. But again, I can control the line width much better with this. So see, kind of like this, kind of like a, I want to say a cat eye, right? I was going to say an animal eye, but I guess it's kind of like a cat eye. Yeah, that's how it's going to look. So I'm going to do the other side like that, same thing. A little exaggerated, but that'll work. Cool. I like that. That came out pretty good. Okay, add a little bit of detail. Now he does have some antenna coming out, and I want to draw those first so I don't accidentally draw through them when I draw the edges. I'll go ahead and do it now since I'm here. I'm going to draw them about like this, and I want to try to come back on the other side about the same thickness, but avoid touching. If it touches, no big deal. Don't worry about it. But come back down, super thin like that, and connect it. Awesome. How'd yours come out? Cool. So let's do the same thing over here, and if it touches, it's no big deal. I'm not worried about it. I want to try not to. There we go. How'd yours come out? Awesome. Okay, so he does have some details here we're going to do in a second. I want to do the mouth portion like this. And again, I'm using the Sharpie fine point because I can, or the Sharpie pen, because I can control these line widths much better. So for his mouth, he's got the old toothy masked rider grasshopper tooth mouth, and then lines going down. So we're going to do like this and go across. And then we'll do the bottom edge here. And I'm going to start to thicken up because when I switch over to this big Sharpie, you're going to see a huge difference. And there are other lines going across, but I'm going to let color take care of that. I'm not worried about it right now. Now I'm just going to draw the helmet is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take these edges and just come back around. So come up like this, and that's why I wanted to draw those lines first. I don't want to draw through them. If you do, no big deal. Don't worry about it. But I was just planning to try not to. Okay? So now I'm just going to go to the top of the head. Now, what I was talking about before, he's kind of got something like this at the top, so I want to indent it just a little bit. Okay? So I'm going to come across, pick it back up where that is, indent it just a little, come back up, and come down to here. So it shouldn't have been that quite of a swoop, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. Because A, I can hide it a little with this Sharpie. Something like that. And then B, it's okay if we make mistakes. I'm not worried about it. Because this is not going to be judged. And even if it is, no big deal. I don't care. This is how I draw. Okay, so I'm going to come across over here like this and up to that. So that's why I accented it like that, so it can have a little emphasis on the edge. And then I'm going to do almost like I did there. So I'm going to come down and up, down and up, because it goes back over his head. So we're pretty much just doing that, and that's it. That's it for the head. Now, moving on to the rest of the drawing. So I'm going to give him a little scarf around his neck, something like that. And because it's a scarf, I'm going to add some little seams, or not seams, some fold lines from where it's folded over his neck. And if I remember, I'm going to have it flowing out like this, but I want to draw the edges of his arms first before I draw through them. Okay, so here's a little exercise I was talking about in the sketch portion. Is when you draw something straight at you like this, let's take my fingers like that. If I were to draw this hand like this, you see this makes sense, but when I draw this, it's just going to look like a lump and a circle. You know what I mean? So sometimes to avoid stuff like that, just turn it. It's not perfectly like you want, but just turn it and it makes more sense. That's what I did with this arm here. I started to draw it with the fist like pointed straight at you, but all this arm disappeared, so it looked a little strange. When you do stuff like that, it's real world stuff, but you can change it up by just pushing it out a little bit, turning it just ever so slightly. It may not be as dramatic as you want, but it'll work. So, for this arm, instead of a fist coming right at you, it's kind of going out. I had it like this, I turned it just ever so slightly. So, I'm going to draw the shoulder up like this, because when you raise your arm, your shoulder comes up, and then I'm going to come down, and then that's where the elbow is going to be. So that's the other thing I did too, is instead of going straight across, I've kind of cocked it back a little bit so the elbow's up, and that changed the position. So instead of like this, like right at you, like let's say that's his shoulder, there's his hand, instead of like this, I cocked it back like that, so now you see the bend. Now you see a little bit more of And let me show you too. Like, here's the arm coming down to like that. So now you see where it bends, and you can see the elbow. And there's his glove. I'm gonna draw it around like this. Still in a what do you call it? A proportion that it's a perspective, that it's a forced perspective coming at you, but it's emphasized on direction, and it'll make a little bit more sense. Okay, so again, we're gonna make a fist. He's gonna punch you in the face, and we're gonna draw his pinky in like that. So this finger is coming in. There's the top of that finger. There's that. They're coming down, but the thumb is right there. That's all you can see of those. So okay, so see how it's a little funky the way it's coming at you. Well, that's okay because we're changing the proportion, right? There we go. So I also want to add some creases and folds showing the bends in the cloth. All right. So that's just an exercise in just changing your perspective, changing your drawing a little bit, and it'll make more sense in the long run. Now also, he's got a design pattern all the way up his arm, but the way I've got his arm bent, you can't really see it. So I'm just going to do that, and we're going to say the rest of it is back here, but you can't really see it, okay? There. Because it's on the back side of it. It's on this side of his arm, but because we got it twisted, you can't see it. All right, but you'll see it more on this side. So this one, I'm going to come through like this. There's his shoulder. There's that side coming down to his arm. So I can go ahead and do it first, so I can emphasize that that's the pattern. And I wanted to use the small Sharpie to complement it, and it'll stand out from the thickness of this other Sharpie. There we go. Okay, I stop here because that's where his glove's going to be. And this hand, I have just the side of it like this. This one, I'm saying, you know what? I compromised on the other one. This one, I'm not. I'm gonna do it the way I want. There's the thumb. There's the fingers. But again, we're just showing the side view. We are gonna take a little bit of a creative, artistic license. That, okay? All right, but because it's the hand, I just want to show a few little lines, like, okay, well, you know, that's the side of the hand there. And we'll say that we'll draw like that digit right there, like a little bit of, well, that's where the thumb is, okay? A little definition between the digits. All right, I love creases and folds in gloves. All right, and he's got like a little pattern thing on here too, so I'm going to do that. Again, some creases and folds to kind of show that it's cloth material. This is a lot of cloth. This is back when it was cloth armor, or cloth costumes instead of armor. All right, so he's got his big old pecs, so we're going to go ahead and draw, and it's got like these indented cuts in them, so I'm going to kind of play around with going in like that, then back to the shape. Just to kind of accent or emphasize the cuts in the design. It's not as exaggerated as I'm doing right here, but I think it looks good by doing something like this. Just a little creative license to emphasize the design. Oops, that's backwards. That is backwards. Don't draw that. Like that. Okay, but that's okay. That's all right. I'm okay with that. So let me do this too. Now I can add some creases and folds from where his arm is raised up. There we go. All right, so let's draw his waist. And again, this is cloth, is all it is. And then I can draw his armor right here. Size that armor. And what I want to do is just come across like this. So again, just kind of using the old, smaller Sharpie to emphasize the or complement the look of the design. Okay, so I can draw the other side of his shirt. That's all it is, cloth. The other side of his shirt like that, and we're done with the top half. So I'm going to draw his belt. Let's see if I can do it. Again, I've talked about this before. This is the before the toy design belt, and also, like everything else, the I don't know what it is belt. I can only draw what I see, and I don't have one, so I couldn't tell you exactly what these things are. And get it 100% right. I'm just guessing by what I'm looking at. But if nothing else, it just comes up with a cool design, Alright, so this one's going to come over here like this. And again, I use the smaller Sharpie to emphasize, or complement, I keep saying emphasize, to complement the thin, thick look. Again, don't know what this stuff is, but I'm going to draw it. Stuff there. Again, it's cloth, so I like doing cloth bends. And same thing for his pants. We're going to do pretty much like his shirt there. It's just legs, cloth legs with a little pattern like that, and then boots. So I'm going to, let's go ahead and do this leg bent a little bit. Now again, we're not seeing on this side like we are on this side, okay? So like this and like this. So all I'm worried about is a bend in the cloth. His boots, just so you see where we are, up to his crotch, that's where he's bent, down again to his boots. Now, I'm going to do like I did right there, exactly like you did. I'm going to draw the edge, then come back with the smaller design, the pattern, for a compliment. Oh, what beautiful pants you have. That's a compliment. Just kidding. And as a bend, I'm going to kind of play around with, there, materials bent. Alright, so now I can draw, again, creases and folds where his legs all bent like this. And then add some extra with the small Sharpie to emphasize and stress that it's cloth. You don't have to do as many as I am. I'm just kind of playing around with if it was a stressed cloth material. I just like drawing creases and folds. I really do. Alright. And no knee pads, nothing like that. Like I said, it's just cloth. So now I'm just going to draw his boots. Let me double check, make sure that the boots are just regular old boots. It looks like it to me. Okay, yep, just drawing some boots now. So coming down. Got a little bit of a heel, but we'll do that in a second. That. I'll add those creases in a second. Let me do this one, then we'll do them all together. This one's more pointed down, so you're looking at the top of the foot. Like that, so you can't really see the heel. So let me just add some creases and folds, just to show that there's stress on the boot. It's usually right there on the ankle. And then we'll do the top one like this. This one goes like that. You can barely see it, so that's awesome. So I say we take care of the rest with color. So that is Kamen Rider Super 1. So here's how I colored it. Tell me what you think in the comments below, or show me what you did in our Discord group. Just have fun and make it your own, because remember, this is how I draw. You draw how you draw, and we'll meet somewhere in between. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more adventures with How I Draw. Plus, don't forget to hit that notification button for new videos.